What's going on, YouTube? So, I just watched Echo, and I thought it was really good. I'm just gonna get it off the bat that I thought it was really good. I love the first episode, especially the recap of like Hawkeye and just going through her origin story. The first episode was really good, getting to that we have a character who's deaf and mute. Her dad has mob ties. Mom was in a car accident caused by the dad being connected with the mob. The main character, she loses the bottom half of her right leg, so she's deaf, mute, and only has one leg. With the death of her mother, her grandmother resents the dad for having ties to the mob. Echo feels that she needs to become strong and she needs to basically be a warrior, so she starts getting the karate. She becomes a boxer. She has all these abilities, and she proceeds. They go to New York, and she gets connected to the Kingpin, and the Kingpin raised her up as a niece, and she calls him uncle, and they have Sunday dinners and stuff like that. And with the loss of her mother, the loss of her leg, the disability she was born with, losing her best friend who was her cousin, and all this, and at a time in need, the Kingpin was there to raise her. And he started off giving her odd jobs to the point where she became an assassin for him and would take out bad guys and take out people who would cause threat of the Kingpin and stuff like that. And she has these powers and these abilities, and we see the growth of the character. Then we see Ronan kill her dad. Then we get the growth of her abilities, where she can take on someone like the Defender of New York, Daredevil, the greatest defender out there. She can win it. She can tie or win a battle against Daredevil. That's pretty interesting. Like the fact that she can grow and become such a skilled fighter that she can take on Daredevil in a fight scene that is very believable. I can believe that Echo can take on Daredevil. I can believe she can win. Then you go on, Ronan kills her dad. She goes after Ronan. Obviously, we get all the Echo stuff. And the editing was so perfect. I really couldn't tell what was new and what was footage from Echo. It seemed like they filmed all of episode 1 for Hawkeye, and they're like, we have something here. Let's pull it out and put it in our Echo series. And it's just phenomenal. It was beautiful work, but like cinematography, like it was really good stuff. And obviously, we get Hawkeye saying, hey, your boss, the Kingpin, the one you call your uncle, hired me to kill your dad. Then that's where it sets up. We have the ending of Hawkeye with Echo shooting Kingpin, and he's allegedly dead. Then she goes to her hometown where she was raised, and the grandma, and we meet her cousin. And her cousin's really funny dude, really likable. And we go on. The season progresses. Second episode, a little boring, not as fun. The third episode, really good. We get this amazing, the amazing setup. All of episode 3 is that she gets kidnapped, and she's put in this rollerblading arena, and everyone's attacked, and she fights off like 20 guys, and it's really believable. You can believe she can take on all 20 of these guys, and it's not hard to see why, because of the abilities she's been training for, and got her up to this assassin where she can take out these other guys who would wish her harm and harm the people of her family, her best friend, and family like that. Then episode 4, really good. Kingpin comes back in an amazing setup where we get even more backstory. He tells him about his childhood and killing his dad, and we get the stuff about how when she was a kid, she showed those tendencies of a killer, where after seeing Kingpin beat someone up, she didn't fear Kingpin. She didn't show remorse to the guy who got beat up. She kicked the man who was already down, and it was such a psychological thing. Kingpin saw that, and then he raised her and he added up. He was like, "You are like me," and he was like, it's so beautiful. Everything with Kingpin and Maya, their relationship, is just perfect. It's spectacular. It's amazing. It's beautiful cinematography. There's a reason why this show was my most anticipated show of 2024. I'm very excited, and it was because of the Kingpin stuff and Maya stuff that was amazing. It was I just keep saying it's spectacular, but unfortunately, it did have some disappointing attributes about the show. The first scene of the show, it shows of a female covered in a naked female covered in full body paint. She touches a water source, and her and her people get teleported to Earth, symbolizing that they're aliens. And now they're covered in mud, and the mud cracks and it breaks and it falls off their skin, and it shows that they are the first Native American people. Controversial start. You start off with your new series making a huge claim that in the MCU, the first Native American people were aliens. Cool. I don't know what to say to that. It threw me out of the show. And of course, this was episode 1, and I thought episode 1 was amazing. So anytime it was about Kingpin or Echo, it was spectacular. Anytime it was about the aliens or the ancestry, it threw me off. Now, I even said I didn't like episode 2, and that was because it was heavily addressed in the concept of the aliens and the ancestry with superpowers. In episode 1, we believed Echo is just this super talented, powerful, just badass who can fight Daredevil. Then you get into some stuff that's unbelievable. You believe that she could run on a train and do these flips and hover underneath a train while the train's moving. Hover underneath, cut open cut a bottom of the train, go in, plant a bomb, and leave. Then she gets her leg caught, and instead of her fake leg, instead of just removing the leg, she sits there trying to undo it. Like, why wouldn't you just take your leg out of the socket so you're no longer stuck? But then she gets her hands start going, and boom, her leg pops out because this magical power sent by the ancestors. It throws me out, and it makes it unbelievable. As well as I very strongly believe is that it was a crutch for the character. Everything we've seen, her abilities to train, to be strong, be powerful, to win a fight against Daredevil, and in this show, it almost makes it into a disadvantage to her character, to the point where it's like she could never win unless she had these superpowers. It feels like Marvel crutched her character, where even the point where she's taking on 20 guys. She's taking on 20 guys, and she's beating the crap out of these guys. But we see getting flashbacks of people we just saw earlier in the show who are her ancestors. And the ancestors were absent at best. the one character, all you see is a face shot. Was the original alien came down, all we see is her face. We have no character, we have no story, we have nothing. The second person we see in the beginning of the second episode was a character who said nothing, was in a tournament playing against a bunch of boys, and all she did was grunt. And of course, she won the game, but she grunted and got angry. That was her only character attributes. Now the third ancestor was personally my favorite because she actually got a backstory. She wanted to be a warrior. She wanted to be a protector of her people, but the men told her that she was made for other things, not for war or protection, but for creating life, not killing life. And the statement alone, but she wanted to do more. She wanted to protect, and when the men get themselves stuck in a trap, she saves them, she protects them, she takes down the people who are invading their land. And it was quite beautiful. And she showed these amazing abilities of being able to shoot and be able to architect with her weaponry. It was very interesting. I wouldn't mind a spin-off of that character, just that character alone. I really did like it. But it also downgraded Echo's abilities to take out 20 different guys by herself, because when the concept came around, she would throw something and it would be a flashback to a person we saw at the beginning of the episode. So she would shoot a gun and we would get a flashback of the 1800s of her ancestor shooting a gun. She would throw something and we get a flashback of in the 1800s of when her ancestor threw a rock. It was a crutch in saying the only reason she's this good is because her ancestor was this good back in the 1800s. Personally, it took me out of, wow, she is a badass. And it put me in this category of, wow, she's only good because she had an ancestor that was this good. Because her ancestors were descendants of aliens with magical palm hand that gave them powers. I say it used it as a crutch, but it was really just a unfortunate event where it made stuff unbelievable and took away from the wow of Echo. It was disappointing, and of course I understand what they were going for. The Native American ancestors and Native Americans, we believe strongly in our ancestors, and we pray and we do stuff like that, but it feels like they used it in such a way that was taking away from her character's history and her training and her ability to stand alone as a strong character. And even at the end of the show, it got weirder where she finally harnessed the power, but they never talked about it. They were like, oh yeah, you've always had this ability. I've had this ability. Your mom had this ability. All of her ancestors have the abilities. Just us have this ability, and somehow she's the only one that can use it. She somehow did this thing where it was weird. It was confusing because in the last episode we got set up Kingpin as this big bad. We need to stop Kingpin before he hurts Grandma, and we get to this concept where she has to fight him, but what she does is she gives her cousin and her grandma superpowers from the ancestors. She activates their superpowers that they've always had, and now they're kicking butt and Echo's kicking butt, but Echo's the only one that's trained, and she's the only one that makes sense. And of course they couldn't have Kingpin lose, so they have Echo do this thing with her abilities that we've seen recently can resurrect a bird from the dead, which Echo killed. Killer, reliving, bringing life back, which also is another Native American thing, tribute, bringing life back, healing. I understand what they were going for. I just personally don't think it worked. And when she did this to Kingpin, she touched his heart and then touched his mind. She touched his head, and I don't know if it was a symbolism that she was healing his heart and healing his mind, but it was quite confusing. And then we got a flashback, of course, of when his father was abusing his mother right before he killed his dad. It's yeah, that's it was weird. It was confusing. I don't actually get it. It pulled me out. But like I said, I really love this show. I think it's one of the best that Marvel's got compared to. I'm a little weird. I did like Hawkeye. I loved Moon Knight. I put it in the middle range. Not as bad as like Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Maybe not as great as something like Loki, but I put it in the middle. It's definitely a rewatchable show, except for like the alien ancestry magic concept that really just threw me out of the street level, because that's what I wanted. I wanted to be very street level, very character based, and they threw in this alien ancestry specialty superpowers that was not street level and was not low key. Though I thought one of the amazing things about it was the concept of a deaf and mute character, and the concept of people learning sign language, and the different abilities of using sign language, like using technology to learn sign language, or like not learning but using it as a tool to communicate with someone with a disability. Um, and I also thought, as a film aspect, it used a perfectly combination of limiting what the audience can hear, symbolizing what our main character hears, so we won't hear anything. Maybe we'll hear heartbeats, or when we're on the train tracks, we won't hear the train. But maybe when she jumps and she lands, we can hear the thump, symbolizing what she can feel. Or when she can hear Kingpin, Kingpin can't communicate, so she'll look at him, we'll hear nothing. But then we will look and see the person sign, and it was quite amazing, and I loved the aspect of that. Um, I thought that was a very thing, and I feel like that's something that we can go more into, um, movies with people with disabilities. Yeah, I like the show. Um, Alien stuff threw me out, but everything else was amazing. Love Kingpin, and I love the setup. Unfortunately, I also feel like Kingpin was a crutch. They're like, you can use Kingpin as the main bad guy because, like, what else are you gonna do? That's the story. That's the progress of the story. Everything was perfect about Kingpin and Maya's relationship, but they were like, we can't have you defeat Kingpin. We need him as a bad guy for Daredevil Born Again. We need him for Spider-Man 4. We need him for this bigger concept. And they tease it in the post-credits scene. We need him to run for mayor, win, outlaw all superheroes in New York, and like it's leading something up, but it feels like they had to limit what they can do with Kingpin, because they couldn't kill him, they couldn't put him in prison, they needed him. They couldn't do something big where the news knows that Kingpin's out here attacking this village and attacking these Native American people. They couldn't have him attacking little girls. Like, they needed to set him up where no one knows what he was doing, but we still needed to defeat him in a way. And it was confusing on what they did and how they did it. Like, did they literally just heal his heart? But clearly not. He's still running for mayor. He still has... Allegedly, there's still a concept of Kingpin being a bad guy. He's still the Kingpin. Is he cured? I don't know. But I hope we know soon. I hope Echo comes back. Um, I did like her character. I did like this story. I hope the family comes back. I really hope the cousin comes back. He was really funny. We'll see. We'll see. I hope you guys liked Echo like I did. Please like and subscribe. I'm a big Marvel fan, and I hope this is a return to form. I don't hate Marvel at all. I'm a huge Marvel fan. I love Marvel, and I'm gonna watch all those Marvel movies and shows. And I won't. I love the street aspect of it, and I like the rumors going around that we're gonna go more street side. I'm definitely down for it, and I hope it's good. Thank you.